Hello everyone, welcome to a tutorial on how to swing a golf club. Today we are going to go through 3 very important steps of how to swing a club. Alright, so with step 1, we are going to speak about the grip of how to actually hold the golf club. So a lot of golf clubs have a writing or a line or something like this that indicates where your club should be held, just so the club face is nice and straight. So I'm a right-handed golfer, so I'm going to put my not dominant hand right at the top of the club, and I'm going to grab it with my fingers first. It's very important to grab it with your fingers and not grab it with your palm, because if you grab it with your palm, you're going to end up having kind of a janky swing, and it will really impact how fluid your swing can actually be. So if you grab it with your fingers, you end up having a lot more direction on the club, which is what you're looking for. So what you're going to do after you put your fingers around the top of the club and kind of wrap your palm over the kind of near the tips of your fingers, you can just drop your thumb and point it directly down the shaft of the club. What you're going to do with your other hand is you're going to put a blanket around the piggy. So this is your piggy here, and you're going to make a blanket with your hand, kind of doing the same thing, wrapping your fingers around first and closing the blanket over top of the piggy. So the fleshy part of your thumb, or the kind of meaty part, is going to sit right on top of your other thumb. So you have your fingers, wrap it around the club, point your thumb down, fingers, wrap it around the club, and point your thumb down. We've figured out our grip, now we're going to move on to our stance. So the stance, at least with an iron, a lot of people, because we're just going to talk about irons today, with a lot of people you're going to put your legs shoulder length apart. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but I would recommend not exaggerating it too much or not making yourself too shallow. If you keep yourself shallow like this, the ball is going to tend to go really low and it's going to kind of punch out. Or if you keep your legs really wide, you might just pop the ball up a lot. So kind of put your legs shoulder length apart and drop the club right in the middle of your stance. When you have an iron, usually the stance is right in the middle. The longer the iron goes, the farther it's going to go to the front. The shorter the iron, the farther it will go to your back of your swing. So when you have your club in your hand and you've got your legs shoulder length apart, what you're going to do now is you are going to lean over top of the club and soften your knees. You're not going to bend your knees, you're not going to keep your knees locked, you're just going to soften them a bit. Get it to a point where it feels kind of natural, but not like too aggressive. You don't want to have your knees really low. So I soften my knees, I'm shoulder length apart, and you want to keep your back straight. So if you have your back really straight up like this, it looks very unnatural, whereas if you have your back kind of straight, kind of along the back of your swing, and you have your butt pushed back, it is a proper stance. So I do this little tap with my feet to get them set. I keep my legs shoulder length apart, or maybe a little bit more, a little bit less for some people. You do your grip, put the piggy in the blanket, keep your back nice and straight, and just let your shoulders kind of fall naturally out of their sockets. Don't push them too far forward, don't pull them back into your body. Just kind of keep them naturally over top of your body, almost like they're just falling right in front of you. And you want to grab the club with not too much grip, because if you grab it too hard, you're going to end up forcing your swing out in a certain direction you don't want to. So I would say if you have a grip, maybe hold it like a 6 out of 10. So what we're going to work on now is the actual swinging part of it. So this is step 3 of the tutorial. So when you're swinging the golf club, you have your legs shoulder length apart. We've already figured out our grip as well. So you get your legs set, you have the proper stance. And for a lot of golfers, as you're swinging your club back, you start at a 50-50. So your legs are 50 weight here, 50 weight here. But as you transfer your swing back, you're bringing it back diagonally, letting your hips and your shoulders kind of follow that. You don't want to stand too straight up, because if you stand straight up like this, you're not going to get a lot of power behind your swing. So you let your shoulders and your hips follow back, and as you can see, I have moved this leg a little forward, I've kept it bent, and this leg has straightened itself out. So I pull the club back, I straighten out one leg, my hips and my shoulders follow, and as I swing through the ball, I'm putting all of my weight, so my 50-50 distribution, to the front of my body. So you start at 50, you swing back, you swing forward, and now all of my weight is on my front foot. A way to tell if your swing is working properly or it's not, with your hips and your shoulders, is to put a golf club right here by your shoulders. So if I was to swing back with my hips and my shoulders following, you can see that my club is pointing towards the ground. And as I swing through the ball, my club is yet again pointing straight at the ground. that's a little drill you could do if you're not sure if you're following through properly. So, you set the ball in the middle of your stance. You get your legs shoulder length apart. You want to put your hands a little bit leading forward. You don't want to have them right in the middle of your swing. You want to have them leading forward a bit. That way the club, or the front of the club face, can actually smack the ball properly. So, keep your legs shoulder length apart, clubs a little, or hand a little bit forward. You swing, your shoulders and your hips follow, and you follow through the ball, transferring your weight to the front. So this is what a swing would look like, following all of those steps.